Yo, yo, yo. I'm not gonna jump straight into it because I want to talk to you about a couple of things. And I want you to relax for a bit because I know that this whole thing, it might seem like an alien language, like you're learning something entirely different, and that's because it's true. You don't know any of this stuff. This is nothing like. I mean, there's similarities. There's some things that are similar to the things that you've learned in maths and English and stuff that you might be able to do, might be able to draw upon. But generally speaking, this is like new stuff. This is new things you're learning. So I can imagine that it probably feels a little overwhelming at the beginning, and it might feel like this right now. Like it might feel like you learned this little thing, 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 but none of the pieces are going together. You don't really see the big picture. I understand that you probably do feel that way, but I promise you that by the end of this whole thing, it's gonna make sense. Like I'm sure, um, eventually the puzzle pieces are gonna start fitting together, and you're gonna understand why I did it this way, why I taught you these little puzzle pieces before we put them together. So I wanted you guys to do something. Just relax for a good 5 minutes. Just oh no, not yeah, 5 minutes, 5 minutes. Um, stand up, take a breather. Don't bother anyone else, right? Don't distract other people. But you can stand up, you can walk around a little bit, just relax yourself in the classroom. But here's the thing: is I'm probably gonna freak out when you guys stand up, right? So if I walk up to you and I'm trying to figure out what you're doing, just tell me this: blippity bloopity. Just tell me blippity bloopity, and I'll know that you're at this point, and I'll let you be chill. Um, go ahead and relax. So pause the video before we move on. But yeah. Okay, so hopefully you've done the blippity bloopity. Um, you've relaxed a little bit. Hopefully you feel a little bit better. So let's jump back into it. Trust me, this is the hardest part. It's like just taking those little puzzle pieces and putting them back together. Eventually, it's going to happen, and it's going to feel much better. But we just have to I still have to give you those puzzle pieces first before we start putting them together. If that makes sense. Okay, so remember remember that when we are telling a computer that something is a word or that something are words, you need to put apostrophes around them. Um, so what we're doing here, for example, in A is we're putting the word hello inside the variable Wendigo. Um, all right. So these are all putting a word inside the variable Wendigo, but some of them are not working, and I want you to look at them and figure out what is wrong with some of them. So you see the space here? Yeah. So basically, B and D are not going to work because there is a space at the beginning of the variable before the variable. So if there is a space before the variable, then the instruction will not work. The computer will get confused, and the instruction will not work. The program will not work. So you see a space before the variable in B. You see a space before the variable in D. So those are the ones that will make the computer confused, B and D, because both of them have a space before the variable name Wendigo. Um, all right, so let's get into numbers. So you can actually do maths in Python, and here's an example. So x equals 2 plus 1. I mean that probably looks similar to something you see in maths, and it actually is really similar. What you're doing here is basically what the computer is doing is, well, okay, how does the computer read this? Well, first, the computer sees an equal sign. So now it knows you're trying to put something inside a variable. And it then looks at the right of the equal sign. So at the right of the equal sign is this here, um, to figure out what you are trying to put into the variable. It then sees that there isn't just one number or word or word. It then sees that you have put two numbers and a plus sign. It knows that if you have two numbers and a plus sign, that should say plus, excuse me, it needs to add them together. So then it adds them together and puts the total into the variable named x. So 2 plus 1 equals 3, and then 3 is put inside the variable x. So in the end, the computer has created a variable with the number 3 inside. What do you think we're doing here? Well, the first two should make sense to you. We're putting the number 2 into x, and then we're putting the number 1 into y. Now we know that x has the number 2 inside it, we know y has the number 1 inside it. In the third instruction, the computer notices the equal sign. So it knows we're putting a word or a number into a variable we're naming z. Then it looks to the right of the equal sign and it sees x plus y. And it notices we have a plus sign and two variables. The computer remembers that x has the number 2 inside it and that y has the number 1 inside it. So it adds 2 and 1 together and then puts the total inside the variable z. So if you guys are visual learners, let's try to do that here. So we have one. Why don't we take a picture of it so you guys can kind of. Okay. Right. So in the first instruction, I remember at the beginning, computer doesn't know anything at all. When you press run in the program, it looks at the first instruction, it sees x equals 2. So it sees the equal sign, and it knows that we're putting something inside a variable. So it looks to the right of the equal sign, it sees the number 2, and then it puts the number 2 inside the variable x. So then we have x, we put the number 2 inside it. So then we go to the second instruction, we see y equals 1. The computer sees the equal sign and knows we're trying to put in something inside a variable called y. So then it looks to the right of the equal sign, it sees 1, the number 1. So then it takes the number 1 and puts it inside a variable, the variable y. So inside y, we've put 1. So now we've gone to the third instruction. Now this is where it gets a little tricky, but it's pretty simple in my opinion. So we've got the equal sign. So the computer knows that we're trying to put something inside a variable named z. So it looks to the right and it sees x plus y. It sees a plus sign. So it knows we're trying to add two things together. It looks inside x and it finds the number 2. It looks inside y and it sees the number 1. So then it adds whatever is inside x and y together. So 2 plus 1 equals 3. So then it takes the 3 and puts it inside the variable z. So now at the end we have a variable x with the number 2 inside it. We have the variable y with the number 1 inside it, and then at the end we've got the variable z with the number 3 inside it. Okay. Okay. So what's inside z at the end is 3, because the 2 inside x plus the 1 inside y equals 3. Okay? We can also subtract, multiply, and divide. So x equals 2 minus 1 is how you subtract. X has the number 1 inside it after this, because 2 minus 1 equals 1. X equals 2 times 2 is how you multiply. X has the number 4 inside it after this. And x equals 4 divided by 2 is how you divide. X has the number 2 inside it after this. Excuse me. So quiz time. We've got x equals 2, y equals 1, z equals x minus y. What number is in z after the third instruction? So why don't we do it here? We'll do it together. Whoopsies. Wait, where is it? This one? No. Okay. Oh no. We don't need that. We'll just go here. So over here. So at the beginning, the computer knows nothing. Then it runs the program and it sees the first instruction. First instruction is has an equal sign, so the computer sees the equal sign, so it knows we're trying to put something inside a variable called x. So then it looks to the right and it sees the to the right of the equal sign and it sees the number 2. So then it puts the number 2 inside the variable x. Then it goes to the second instruction. It sees y. It sees the equal sign again. So it knows we're trying to put um, something inside a variable named y. And so it looks to the right of the equal sign. It sees the number 1. So then it puts the number 1 inside variable y. Boom. So far, so good. So the third instruction, we see z equals x minus y. So the computer sees the equal sign. It knows we're trying to put something inside a variable, the variable z. So then it looks to the right of the equal sign. It sees a minus sign. So it knows we're trying to subtract two numbers. It looks inside x and it finds the number 2. It looks inside y, and it finds the number 1. Right? So then 2 minus 1 leads to 1. So then z has the number 1 inside it. Cool. One. X is the number 2, y is the number 1. And this one, what number is in z after the third instruction? Oh, whoops. I'll only do this one more time because I think you guys might be getting the sense. You might be making sense now, hopefully. Um, okay. So, computer knows nothing at the beginning. It sees the first instruction, sees the equal sign, and knows we're trying to put something inside the variable x. And it looks to the right of the equal sign and sees the number 2, and it puts 2 inside the variable x. Same thing for y. And then finally, in the third instruction, it sees the equal sign. It knows we're trying to put something inside a variable named z. It sees x. It looks inside x and it sees number 2. It looks inside y. It sees the number 2. So, and then it sees a multiplication sign, so it multiplies both those numbers. And so inside z, we get 4. Cool? Right. And this is just division. So we put the number 4 inside x, we put the number 2 inside y, and what's inside x is 4, what's inside y is 2, so 4 divided by 2 equals 2, and 2 is put inside z. Yeah. Right. I think I'm going to stop it there. See you in the next lesson.